G'day guys, Josh here with a YouTube video. Well, finally, for some of you are like, man, he's not uploaded in 2 weeks. Where did he go? Well, let me tell you where I went. Okay, I went on an adventure. I picked up Lost Ark. One of my brother's sister-in-law's brothers was like, hey man, Josh, you gotta play Lost Ark. Lost Ark looks like a really good game. Highly recommend you play it. If you listen to this, Casey, thank you. Been a fun game to play. Let's get to it, okay? Let's get an honest review for it, okay? So Lost Ark, if you guys are unknown, it was released, I think it was in 2018, 2019 in Korea. It's a Korean RPG. And with most Korean RPGs as well, very grindy. But it's also an ARPG, okay? Kind of like a Diablo kind of setting. And it's kind of a mixture of Black Desert Online, with the old ghost ships and stuff like that, and all the events. There's got a mixture of Diablo 3 into as well, being an ARPG and a spammy RPG, like, you know, basically a hack and slash. And it's got a bit of elements of video. I'm trying to think of, and some Korean RPGs as well, where it's really grindy at times, where if you want to go to the top of the mill and want to get all your weekly stuff done, you got to grind non-stop. And we're going to get into some action. I'm going to show you about as well. There's multiple classes in this game, and they have their advanced classes as well. So basically, there's the 5 classes. Being, well, we'll get into the game now. Being one of them, of course, being my character, or if it loads up, that is. My character being the Deadeye. So my Deadeye is basically a marksman class. So a gunner class, as they call it. And then the advanced class is Deadeye. And this is an interesting new part of the game as well, is that these roles are also gender-based as well. So basically, Gunslinger for females and Deadeye for males. There's also bards and sorcerers for females. And I don't think you can make a male mage at all. And there's, like, you know, gender classes like that, where certain genders can only be certain classes, which, you know, makes it pretty cool as well. Now, also as well, you know, as I said before, BDO, you can see, like, these events that are happening. So you can see the events here, blah blah, and when the next events are, like, for example, Ghost Ship, we did previously, even though we failed it. But, you know, all these alerts would be basically here. So you can also set an alarm as well for Ghost Ship, be like, okay, when's Ghost Ship going to come out? Only appears, you know, every hour or so. And, you know, you can enable it for this one as well. And also, not to mention as well, since we've already been on it once and we failed, we can't go on it again. But it tells you, like, basically all the bosses, when they're available and stuff like that. And as you can see here, you know, it tells you when this boss is available, what loot it gives as well. And, you know, that's what kind of the behind the scenes kind of aspect of it as well. So, like, basically as well, you can detail what loot they give as well. And also you can tell which island they're on. So you can tell this one here is on, you know, this island, basically. Harvester is on, well, you can see every 1 hour from 11 is on this island, simply put. And also, you know, you can basically get it from here as well to basically tell you which island it's going to be active on and when. So those are the sort of things that will go on, and that's what you can look at. And you can see all these other islands as well. You know, you can go to this guy, you know, get some caviar, some gems and stuff like that. And, well, you can get things overall. It's a very, if you want to, you know, basically if you want to go get things, you can exactly go get anything you wish, basically. If you want to grind for it, that is. Now, that's the event side of it with BDO. And we'll go to the action side as well. So this is basically called a Chaos Dungeon. You'll be grinding a lot of these as well. And essentially, you know, it is basically, to put it nicely, it is a bit of a grind fest as well. So if you like a MMORPG or ARPG or any MMO in general where you can just get into the game just like this is your game. So basically here, as you can see me here, I'm just basically using my marksman dude. He's just basically blowing up everything. I've just got a kind of an AoE build here. The main reason for the AoE build is just basically, you know, a nice little AoE build that you can just get behind. So we get some music here as well as we clear this out. So basically what the Chaos Dungeon is just basically a hack and slash. And pretty much I get this aura of resonance where you can then get actual materials. And you can repeat it as well many times as you want. This is very easy content to, like, just basically get the mats you need to upgrade your gear. Now, this is the end game content. So it's not the beginning game content. Basically, the game at the start is got like a pretty small storyline where you're like a typical hero kind of thing. Where you basically, at the start, is that you're just becoming a person who's just looking for the Ark, as your start mission is. And then eventually you get looped into this sort of revolution with King Firane, where you're trying to restore the throne to him, and he's like a really hard himself king as well. Like, he feels like everything is his fault. and stuff like that. You got to be there for him. So basically, as you're looking for the arc, you do go with your bro Armin, as I call him. Armin basically is a priest as well. The story is not really that far-fetched. It's a very simple story. I mean, I don't think there's many ARPG or MMORPG games that can say that they have like a really, really, really good story. And someone's going to mention Final Fantasy Online. Final Fantasy Online, Final Fantasy 14. I can tell you now, a lot of people don't like that story either. So, MMORPGs have some sort of story, but it's never usually that, like, really, really strong story. So you can, let off a few games here and there with it as well. So, I feel like overall, like, with this game, it is very, very fun, as you can see here. Basically, Chaos Dungeons is, like, basically one of those things where you can just chill back, lay back, just watch your attacks do tons of damage, and feel a bit overpowered for a bit as well, There's very few, like, content where you can just play a different style, you can just lurk and do these things as well. Now, with Lost Ark, there is a pay-to-win kind of thingo system. Like, there's basically Zenina's no pay-to-win is kind of, let's just say, the pig among the pigeons. Like, you can pay to progress, as people call it, as a kind of excuse. It is pay-to-win. Like, you can easily rocket up to next tier by constantly purchasing the, some of the packs, okay? Like, you can easily get to next tier. And there's, the thing is like the pay-to-win system, people act like it's going to be like, means they will be the most powerful player there is. It only allows them to progress to get the end tier potentially quicker. Sometimes the store limits as well. So, you can't just buy your way to tier 3. And, stuff like that as well. However, it is kind of true that they're able to get into the AH a lot easier. So basically, when they're on the AH, they can sell the better gear to people. And to be fair, though, like, a lot of people may not be able to afford it anyway. And they wouldn't have it in the first place. So, you may not have money in the first place. So, it might not be that advantageous. But still, you can get to those end tiers a lot earlier. Which is, very, very overpowered, if you think about it. And it is kind of pay to win in a way. However, there's PvP in this game as well. I don't do too much PvP, but you can't pay to win in that one, okay? Basically, you're given a template of a character, and that's pretty much it. You're given a template. You can't edit your character any single way in PvP. It is, you just get your character like that, and that is pretty much it. And you get said skills and stuff like that for PvP. So you can't, basically choose your way to win in PvP by having the OP gear. That doesn't work. So you actually have to be kind of skilled to win in these things. Now, on the other hand, there's a lot of challenging raid content as well called Guardian Raids. Guardian Raids are just basically monster hunter raids. So it's got like a monster hunt aspect to it where you're basically just hunting with monsters and you've got like four items that you can realistically use. So you see these battle items down here. Those are the only items you can use in Guardian Raids. And it's got some very unique mechanics and some very fun mechanics as well for an ARPG. And I was actually a bit surprised that an ARPG had some of these mechanics as well, especially one of them where you have to throw a different color cube at a boss and stuff like that. And sometimes the ARPG mechanics, what it boils down to, especially in D3, was just, dodge an arcane orb, stuff like that, or use a different physical attack, don't use melee and stuff like that. But this game's got, usually think of your mind as well as just dodging a few things on the ground. Now, of course, some of the Guardian raids are laughably easy. The first two tiers are pretty easy, and when it starts getting hard, it's I believe it's the last boss of the second tier, and also the last boss of the third tier as well. It can be quite difficult. And these fights as well, like once you get to know the Guardian raids, get used to it, you'll be able to just knock them out pretty easily as well. Like it's very, very. Once you get it, it's very, very easy. They also have another content as well called Abyss Dungeons as well, which is basically like a weekly raid where you can get gold. Gold is very important in this game as well to make sure you do your guild donations, make sure you be able to power level your alts through content as well. Now, the cool thing that this game does have is the knowledge transfer. The knowledge transfer is actually an amazing thing in this game, and it's quite ingenious actually. Where, like, you can gather, like, level 1 alts instead of going through the game, the slog of the game, which is about 18 hours, by the way, maybe even 24. I think 18 hours is, like, the quickest speedrun. You can actually just basically, knowledge transfer, play for 8 hours in your main, and you can have another dude to level 50 at this tier 1 start almost instantly just by paying 600 gold. And gold's pretty easy to grind. And you've got basically a roster of six characters. You can extend that to 12 if you want to. if you want to play as many ults as you can do that. And also, not to mention, you can use these ults to funnel gear to your main. And that's generally the outset of it, is that you just funnel gears to your main gets to tier 2, and you can use your ult to get to tier 2 as well, and then you funnel it to your main again. And that's what people seem to try and do, to get your ult to tier 3 right away. Or you can just have one main and just basically go through the grind. Now, overall, after all this content, there's a lot more content, there's a lot of currencies. Let's talk about its good things. The good things is that it is not predatory pay to win, okay? Like, it's not saying you must pay to win, otherwise you'll never win ever again. Like, kind of like Raid Shadow Legends. It is, if you want to progress and pay for it, go for it. Secondly, it is free, okay? It is not one of those things where it's, free, but if you want to be good, you have to pay, that kind of thing. Most of the things that you pay for out of convenience and make your life a lot easier. It's more of convenience rather than, going out with brute skill. Also, not to mention as well, the things in the game, the currency in the games, if you do play enough and do progress enough, you can actually pay your own way. Kind of like how WoW has it with the WoW tokens, where if you can flip an AH really well, you can pay for your own game time, especially Mythic Plus boosts and stuff like that as well. And, stuff like that. You can pay your own crystalline aura, as they call it, on this game, or sub, as they call it. So that's the pseudo sub element that it has. Also, the Chaos Dungeons, the Guardian Raids, and the Abyss Dungeons have been really, really fun. There haven't been... there's been a few frustrating mechanics, but once you get used to it, it's all good and dandy, but it's a good challenge to go into. What else is very good? The currencies... I guess there's a downside of the currencies as well, but, like, I gotta say, basically, the adventure, the amount of content you can do is actually quite good in this game. Like, you can do a large variety of content on the islands and stuff like that. And it's just like a giant content bundle where you can do any of the content that you want, basically. And it's really, really, really fun regardless. And there's a few funny and happy moments in there as well, which is pretty awesome. And, I've been enjoying it so far. Now, the downsides. The downsides is definitely the currency. There are, like, too many currencies to manage. And a lot of people have been going, this is like a mobile MMORPG, because, Raid Shadow Legends has the same thing, where there's like 20 million different structures. You got to manage it all somehow. And I gotta say, they've done a good job of trying to put it into the system compared to WoW and a few other things where they have to just yoink out the borrowed powers because they're not good at all. They've done a better job at just progressing it further and further, that you can progress your character further and further with these systems and not just take them away from you when they're done. It's like, for example, having the rune system, the gem system, and various of other stuff like that. The currencies can be a bit hard on to manage, but once you get a guide, once you get used to it, once you know what you're going to be doing with those currencies, it becomes a lot easier. But still, the overwhelming urge of, having to look at a guide to play the game is probably not a good idea, because you want your guys to play it without looking to Wikipedia, basically. But I think this day and age, everyone looks to Wikipedia, but you don't want your game to be like that, unfortunately. I agree with that aspect. Secondly, the grind can be absolute killer, and sometimes you're just at the mercy of RNG, and that's not fun. And it sucks, that's one of the downsides of it as well. Now, the other downsides is that it's addicting as hell. It is so addicting, and I've been just putting into this game as well so much. And I just can't think of the other downsides either. Well, the other downsides is that essentially, if you want to have more convenience and be able to progress with a solid platform, you actually do need to pay to play the game with the Crystalline Aura. I did say you can grind the currency up to an extent, but once you get, I think it's like 7 or 8 months into it, where you can't grind any more currency and you can't trade it out and stuff like that, you're eventually going to have to pay to play the game. And I probably prefer Lost Ark to have like a sort of, you pay X amount and you get the full game, rather than like a freemium kind of deal, because Lost Ark on its own is a very, very good game. Okay, it's a very, very, very good game. And it's a very, very fun game as well. Like, very, very hack and slash. You can just go in and out very, very easily, and I love playing it. And that's pretty much it. We got some gameplay in there as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys have a nice day. See you guys later. Josh out.